Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central tonight, right here in Kent, Ohio. Greetings to all and sundry. I hope everybody's doing well. Hope y'all had a good day. Got a chance to play, or maybe just to stay at home and chill for a while, for real. Tonight, continuing on with our story of Marcus Mosiah Garvey and the UNIA. We'll be reading from our books a little bit more. And, of course, we'll be sharing another saying with you from the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. But before we get started, you know what we'd like you to do. Go ahead and give us a like if you're watching on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. And of course, don't forget to share everything that you hear right in this time period right now with your friends and your family. So now that we've got that all out the way, let's go ahead and get it on with the getting on and see what does Garvey have to share with us today. Very simple one I got right here. A race without authority and power is a race without respect. A race without authority and power is a race without respect. All right. And we have it right from the mouth of Marcus Garvey, some of his words. So, moving on to our next chapter. See, we're still in chapter, I believe we're in chapter 4 here in our book. Wow, this is a long chapter. Jeez. Seems like it'll never end. Did we just start this chapter? Oh, okay, we just started this chapter, that's why. Okay, so we got a ways to go in this chapter here. Let's go ahead and get our slides running over here while we're at it. All right, and here we go. Garvey witnessed the northward flow of black migration during his travels in 1916 and 1970. He saw that come on now. Get it together here. He saw that the migrants had not discovered the promised land they had dreamed of. Instead, they encountered wretched housing conditions, a high cost of living, and much of the same discrimination they faced in the South. Wherever he traveled, Garvey spoke out against the injustices his race was forced to endure. Blacks should be proud of their blood, he told his audiences, but he warned them they would never be given the respect and equality they deserved until they improved themselves. Blacks first needed to unite for their own protection, and they must obtain more education and free themselves of their dependence on white employers. American blacks had a long way to go before they could achieve the self-sufficiency Garvey advocated. As he told a crowd in one North Carolina town, when I came down here, I had to get on a white man's train, on a white man's railroad. I landed in a white man's town, came out here on a white man's car, and am now speaking from a white man's platform. Where do you Negroes come in? If I depended on getting here on anything that you have furnished, I would have been walking for 6 months. Despite the overall grimness of the racial situation in the United States, Garvey did find some room for hope. Outnumbered and battling organized discrimination, blacks had still made great accomplishments during their half-century of freedom. He said to a Chicago audience, I have seen Negro banks in Washington and Chicago, stores, cafes, restaurants, theaters, and real estate agencies that filled my heart with joy to realize that the people of the race have sufficient pride to do things for themselves. After nearly a year of traveling, Garvey returned to New York City, determined to have another crack at a Harlem audience. He soon got his chance. On June 12, 1917, he attended a lecture given by Hubert Harrison, a militant spokesman for the Black protest movement. Harrison spotted Garvey and introduced the leader of the Jamaican UNIA to his audience. When he finished his lecture, Harrison asked Garvey to join him on the stage and speak to the crowd. When Garvey explained his program for Black unity, the crowd clapped and cheered. His recent travels had obviously shown him how to touch responsive chords in American audiences. Soon after his first successful speech in New York, Garvey began holding weekly Sunday meetings at neighborhood churches. He saw that his powerful, eloquent speaking style was having a strong effect on his listeners. Encouraged, he helped a group of supporters from a New York chapter of his Jamaican organization. The new UNIA was run by a board of elected officials, with Garvey serving in an advisory role. He remained president of the Jamaican UNIA, with which he corresponded by mail. He still intended on returning home and renewing his efforts to start a Jamaican Tuskegee Institute. These plans had to be changed, however, when the New York UNIA branch ran into trouble during the first months of its existence. A group of Harlem politicians tried to grab control of the organization. Garvey's moves to block the takeover resulted in an ugly battle within the UNIA. By the end of 1917, the organization had fallen apart. Almost immediately, Garvey started a new and larger UNIA chapter in New York. With himself as president, he decided that the United States, with its greater wealth and population, was a better place than Jamaica to base his operations. Thus, New York became the international headquarters of the UNIA. Garvey quickly began building up the strength of the UNIA and writing to Black communities throughout the world. His weekly meetings were moved to large convention halls where he excited his audiences with visions of a proud and free Black race. During 1918, the former printer began publishing Negro World, the internationally distributed UNIA newspaper. Negro World was an invaluable tool for spreading Garvey's philosophy around the globe. The weekly newspaper carried Garvey's own lengthy and often highly controversial editorials and reported on news, events, and issues that were of interest to Blacks. The activities of the UNIA were, of course, covered in detail. Garvey wrote many articles that paid tribute to great figures in Black history. The paper also published letters from its readers, which helped Blacks learn about conditions in other countries. In Negro World's early days, Garvey's eager staff arose at dawn to distribute the paper free of charge, pushing it under the doors of Harlem's Black households. In later years, the weekly charged from 5 to 10 cents, about the same price as daily newspapers. So the Negro World was affordable to most of Garvey's supporters. The newspaper was circulated in the United States, Canada, the West Indies, Latin America, Europe, and Africa. At its peak, Negro World had a circulation of more than 60,000 people. Black readers throughout the world eagerly awaited the next copy of the paper that supported on its masthead the UNIA motto, "One God, one aim, one destiny." With the help of the Negro World, Garvey's message even succeeded in penetrating into the remoter areas of Africa. Jomo Kenyatta, the African nationalist leader and president of Kenya from 1964 to 1978, described how the newspaper circulated throughout the British East African colony in which he grew up. Kenyan nationalists, unable to read, would gather around a reader of Garvey's newspaper, The Negro World, and listen to an article 2 or 3 times. Then they would run various ways through the forest, carefully repeating all that they had heard to others they met. Interest in the UNIA grew quickly, and the organization was soon boasting a membership in the thousands. Branches were established in Chicago, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Los Angeles, and many other cities. Like the Jamaican UNIA, the American chapters offered health insurance to their members. Dues were 35 cents a month, part of which was turned over to the UNIA headquarters. Garvey's dynamic personality was an essential factor in the spread of the movement. A tireless worker, he spent 7 days a week on UNIA business. He often spoke in 2 places in a day as he traveled around the United States and Canada. Many of the people he had met during his years of travel were enlisted in former new branches. He was also assisted by some members of the Jamaican chapter, including Amy Ashwood, who came to New York to help him run the organization. The UNIA president's powerful voice also played a big role in his success. Many people traveled long distances to hear him speak, often leaving the meetings as dedicated UNIA members. Garvey spoke from the heart and never used notes for his speeches. Wherever he went, he made sure to learn about the special problems in the area and would focus on them in his lectures. William L. Sherrill, a UNIA official, described how he decided to join the organization after hearing Garvey speak in Baltimore. One night on my way to a show, I saw a huge crowd outside a church. I went up and said, "What's going on in there?" A lady turned to me and said, "Man alive, don't you know that Marcus Garvey is in there talking?" "Yes, indeed, Garvey in person." "Shucks," I said, "I may as well see what he looks like." I squeezed in until I could get a good look at him. Then suddenly he turned in my direction, and in a voice like thunder from heaven he said, "Men and women, what are you here for? To live unto yourself until your body manures the earth, or to live God's purpose to the fullest?" He continued to complete his thought in that compelling yet pleading voice for nearly an hour. I stood there like one in a trance, every sentence ringing in my ears and finding an echo in my heart. When I walked out of that church, I was a different man. And so help me, I'm still on the Garvey train. Busy with UNIA organizational work, Garvey had little time to worry about his own income or comfort. But his work paid off, and by the middle of 1919, he was claiming that the UNIA had attracted 2 million members in 30 chapters around the world. Although these figures are probably extreme exaggerations, they do reflect the widespread influence of the organization. No one will ever know the accurate membership of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, declared Garvey, because every second Negro you meet, if not an actual member, is one in spirit. No matter what the true membership figures for the UNIA really were, it is clear that by 1919, Garvey was finding recruiting easy in America's worsening racial climate. World War I ended in 1918, and the country's economic boom ended with it. The men who had gone overseas to fight after the United States entered the war in 1917 returned home looking for work. Immigrants from Europe again began to arrive in America. Blacks who had moved north for jobs and good wages found that they were the first to be fired once the labor shortage eased up. The competition for jobs, combined with the friction caused by the growth of black communities in northern cities, bred increasing racial hostilities. By 1919, these tensions exploded into race riots in cities across the United States. In Chicago, the drowning of a black boy who accidentally swam into the white section of a public beach touched off cries of murder and led to 13 days of bloody racial violence. Further rioting occurred in 1919 in such places as Washington, D.C., Longview, Texas, and Elaine, Arkansas. Some of the outbursts were sparked by rumors of black assaults on white women, others by white attacks on black homes and churches. Although blacks defended themselves, they invariably got the worst of the battles with white mobs and hostile police. The increase in racial violence was accompanied by a revival of the KKK. Founded in 1866, this dreaded white supremacist organization had won a large following in the South after the Civil War. The hooded and white-robed Klansmen launched terror attacks against blacks and fought to overturn the racial equality measures passed during Reconstruction. The Second Klan started in Georgia in 1915 and included Jews, Catholics, and foreigners among its targets. Blacks were the Klan's favorite victims, however, and many were kidnapped and lynched by white-robed mobs. Among those lynched were black soldiers in particular, returning home from the battlefields of World War I. And we're going to end right there, and we'll pick up again tomorrow evening. Tomorrow evening, we'll pick up again. We'll finish off this book before very long, but so far, so good. Excellent book, breaking down some of the history around the things that Garvey was talking about so that we could really put his words into context. Context is everything. Without being able to put his words into context, it's hard to understand why he said some of the things he said, why he did some of the things that he did, and why he made some of the moves that he made. So, always necessary to put things in the proper context. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to put this in the proper context and let all the little children out there within the sound of our voice know that it's time to lay your little head on your little pillow, on your little bed, and close those your eyes while you wait on that sun to rise. And when you feel those sunbeams beaming down on your eyes, you know that it's time to rise and shine. Rise and shine, O children of mine. For a new day is dawning, and you ought to be ready for that new day. And the only way you can be ready is to make sure you get enough rest. You need your rest. So put away your PlayStations, put away your Xbox, put away your Bobby socks, whatever it is that you're playing with right now, and you think you're going to play with under the covers while your mother and your father are not looking. Put all those things away, close your eyes, and dream of tomorrow. And as for you parents, I need you to do the same. Dream of tomorrow. But before you start to dream, go ahead and do just a couple little things. Number one, give us a like if you're watching on Facebook, a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, and last but not least, go ahead and subscribe to the Tubular Black Facts channel. That's where you'll find us busy handling our business. Peace out without a doubt. I'm just going to say good night to Olumolo, Akinwumi, and what is that? Nachabella, or Natakbella. It's hard to read. I need my glasses to read that one just about. But hope I didn't mess your names up too bad there. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and transition on out. We're going to go to our extra. Peace out without a doubt. Of course, with justice, because anything less disgusts us. You know we don't like being discussed. Disgusted, that is. Peace.